When you hear the term natural fibers, what do you think of? You may think of cotton, which is also a natural fiber, and we'll talk more about that in another video. But more than likely you think of wool from the fleece of sheep, who spend their time grazing on the luscious green grasses of the countryside. But did you know that there are so many more types of natural animal fibers than that, including those from goats, rabbits, and even caterpillars? What are some of the pros and cons for each of these fibers? Which is the best fiber to use if you have sensitive skin? Stay tuned because we'll be going into detail about all of that and more. Let's go a little bit more into some of the basics. Wool is the shaved fleece or fur from any animal, such as sheep, goats, rabbits, alpacas, and llamas. Wool consists of keratin, a natural protein also found in human hair. Keratin is responsible for common physical properties, such as the fibers being able to stretch without breaking, bounce back into shape, and allow it to perform under extreme conditions. Wool is also able to absorb high level of moisture, is an insulator, naturally odor resistant, recyclable, biodegradable, and fully renewable. Of course, there are a few downsides to using wool. Some may find that certain types of wool is coarse or scratchy, it pills over time, it is sensitive to heat, causing felting to occur, and can be tough to clean. However, wool is very much a desired fiber for clothes, carpets, furniture upholstery, bedding, and of course, my favorite, yarn. Something to also note is how the softness in wool is measured. This is called the micron count. A micron measures the diameter of a single fiber. Hearing that a wool is super soft or rough doesn't really help you understand how soft a fiber really is. So remember, the smaller the fiber and the micron count, the softer the fiber will be. The first type of natural animal fibers we will be discussing is merino wool. Merino wool originates from the merino sheep and is a thinner and softer wool, making it more desirable to wear close to skin. Typically, merino wool is measured between 15 and 25 microns. Did you know that a single strand of merino wool fiber is 1/3 the diameter of a strand of human hair? A few examples of merino wool yarn would be Knitting for Olive Merino and DMC Woolly 5 Merino Wool. Next is superwash treated wool. This occurs when the scales of hairs are chlorinated, then coated with a synthetic resin. The coating smooths and softens the fibers, preventing the wool from felting when washing. Since this treatment uses a lot of water and chemicals, superwash wool is often considered a risk to the environment. This fiber is also known to stretch after washing. However, it is often a softer wool because it has been specially treated. The micron count of superwash treated wool depends on the original base fiber of the wool. A few examples of superwash treated wool are Cascade Yarn's Heritage Sock and Knit Pick Stroll. Next is Peruvian Highland Wool. This fiber originates from a sheep that is a crossbreed between Merino and Corriedale. Due to the harsh, high altitudes of the Andes, Peruvian Highland Wool is a hardy and fine wool with a micron count of 27. A few examples of Peruvian Highland Wool are Knit Pick's Wool of the Andes and Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool. Next is cashmere. Cashmere fibers originate from the undercoat of a cashmere goat, found primarily in parts of Asia. Cashmere fibers are described as a fine and soft luxury fiber, being 3 times more insulating than sheep's wool. The average annual yield of cashmere from one goat amounts to approximately 4 ounces. It's easy to understand why cashmere is so expensive, with its micron count typically between 14.5 and 19.5. A few examples of cashmere are Rowan Cashmere Haze and Sirdar Cashmere Merino Silk DK. Next is alpaca. Alpaca fibers are lighter and warmer than wool. It's free of lanolin, making it hypoallergenic, and it features a soft and silky sheen. However, alpaca fibers are sensitive to moths, can be itchy, and often expensive. Alpaca fibers' micron count ranges from 18 to 40, with royal and baby alpaca breeds being softer and considered a higher quality fleece. A few examples of alpaca wool are Knit Pick's Alpaca Cloud DK and Drops Alpaca. Next is mohair, originating from Angora goats in countries such as Turkey, the US, and South Africa. Mohair is one of the oldest fibers produced, known for its strength and durability. It's often combined with other wool yarns because it felts less and has a fuzzy halo. However, mohair has a tendency to shed and is expensive to produce. Mohair's micron count is between 25 and 40. A few examples of mohair are sandness garn tin silk mohair and knitting for olive soft silk mohair. Next is one of the oldest fibers known to man, silk. Silk is the fibers that are obtained from the cocoon of silkworms. Each cocoon ends up amounting to only one strand of silk thread. These individual strands are then attached to each other in order to reach the desired length of fiber. Silk is a special type of fiber because it takes dye well, it's smooth, drapes well, and is incredibly strong. The absorbency of silk makes it comfortable to wear in warm weather and while active. To produce 1 pound of silk, 100 pounds of mulberry leaves must be eaten by over 3,000 silkworms. The micron count for silk ranges between 10 and 14, making it the softest fiber discussed today. A few examples of silk are sandness garn alpaca silk and Berroco aerial. Lastly, and often less common, is Angora rabbit hair. Similar to mohair, Angora hair features a fuzzy halo look. It is also 2.5 times warmer than wool, lightweight, silky, fine, and very soft. Its hollow core of the Angora fibers gives it the characteristics of a floating feel. If not properly taken care of, this fiber will easily felt. Because it's not a naturally elastic fiber, Angora is often paired with wool. The micron count for Angora hair is 12 to 16. A few examples of Angora yarns are Plymouth Angora and Big Wigs Angora yarn. So, what are your thoughts on the different types of natural animal fibers? Do you have a favorite that you felt or maybe even worked with before? Is there a certain type of fiber or yarn that you would like us to do a review of? Leave a comment down below. We would love to hear from you. If you are interested in trying out any of the yarns included in today's video, all of the links are listed in the description box down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching, and we'll see you next time.